Hello everybody and welcome to the All About Health podcast. My name is Georgia Overbeck and I'm your host, and welcome to the first episode of season 2 of this podcast. Just imagine there is a clapping sound effect in the background. Welcome to season 2, everyone. I am so excited for this brand new season and for all of the fun and learning and this journey that we're about to go on. Yes, I know that sounds a little bit cheesy, but it's true. I'm excited just to see what happens during this season, the progress that we're going to make together, and what's going to happen. So I have a lot to update you on. The last time that I recorded a podcast or uploaded one was June 15th, and as I'm recording this, it is July 14th, so almost a whole month. And a lot has happened in the last month that I'm really excited to catch you up on and just talk about, including my birthday weekend. I turned 20 on July 1st, and so we're going to talk all about that. I'm going to talk about some big purchases that I've made recently that are going to impact my content, but also my life just in general. And then also I recently redid my style for my 20s, like my fashion style, which is something that I don't talk a lot about often on the podcast or in my social media, but I'm really excited to talk about it today. And then also I have some training and workout updates. We're going to talk about the future of the podcast, and then also my future and what's happening this winter and some crazy things like that. So we have a lot to talk about, but I'm going to start off. I'm just going to talk about my life first, and then I'll get talking actually more about the podcast and what's going on with that and everything, because I have so much to talk to you about, and let's just do a catch up. So I'm going to start by talking about my birthday weekend. So I turned 20 on July 1st. I'm officially not a teenager anymore. It's crazy. I can't believe it, but it's true. And so far, this year of being 20 has been like amazing. I love being 20. I would say that it's one of my favorite ages so far. And I think a big reason for that is my birthday weekend. So we celebrated my birthday in Victoria, British Columbia. It's on Vancouver Island. And we left early in the morning to get to the ferry. So it was around 7 a.m. probably that we actually left from the dock. If you want specifics about this story, then I would recommend going to my YouTube channel, because I did vlog this and that'll have actual timestamps and all that stuff in there. But if you want just a general little description gist of what happened, then this is the place to listen to that. So we woke up early, went on the ferry. I had breakfast on the ferry. We all did as a family. I had oatmeal, and on the oatmeal it came with coconut and some sunflower seeds and peanut butter and banana, and it was delicious. It was really good. And then we got to the island, and we actually went to a place called the Bouchard Gardens before we headed to Victoria. And it was so beautiful there. If you like flowers, and if you're going to the island anyway, if you're going to Victoria, then I would definitely recommend checking it out. It was very beautiful, lots of gorgeous flowers. And then we got to Victoria, but our hotel wasn't quite ready for us because, again, it was Canada Day weekend, so it was very busy. So we actually spent a little while walking downtown Victoria, the main street. And if you've not been there, there are so many cute little shops and local boutiques and restaurants and bookstores and so much stuff, which I'm gonna get into soon. But we were kind of hungry at this point because I think it was around 1 or 2 p.m. And so we went to a place for lunch called Rebar, and it was actually I think it was not fully vegetarian, they had fish and eggs, but it was maybe pescatarian or something like that. It was this restaurant that had a lot of vegan options, a lot of vegetarian options, and so for that reason, I would recommend it. I got this curry that was so good. I've really been into curry recently for some reason, and so that was really delicious. And then after that, our room was still not ready for us. So we actually headed to a bookstore, and I believe it was called Monroe's Bookstore, and it was right on the downtown Victoria Main Street. And it felt like you were in Beauty and the Beast or something, like you were in her library. The music, it was playing classical music, and it was just so, I don't know how you'd say it, like not antique or rustic, but along those lines. It just felt like you were in a movie, and they had such a good selection of books too. So I actually ended up buying 4 books there, and it was so beautiful. That was so fun. After that, we made it to the hotel because they were ready for us. We stayed at the Fairmont in Victoria, and it was so gorgeous there. It felt like you were in a castle. It was amazing. The Fairmont is so beautiful. Even if you go to Victoria and you don't stay at the Fairmont, I would recommend just walking through it and feeling the vibes and how amazing it was there. And so we pretty much just spent the rest of the late afternoon in the hotel room because we had been out all day since 5 a.m. that morning. And so we just took some time to go on social media and kind of just relax a little bit. And then we went out for dinner that evening to a Greek restaurant, which, if you didn't know, my family and I were all obsessed with Greece. We can't wait to go there one day. And so we like to go to Greek restaurants to kind of, manifest that a little bit, feel the vibes. We love it. And so this was my birthday dinner. And so I ordered some alcohol because, if you didn't know, in Canada, you can drink at the age of 19 actually. And I have never ordered alcohol at a restaurant. And so I finally did. And I actually got a little wine flight. So I just got some rosé, I think is what it's called, sparkling wine. And so it was this little flight of 3 different kinds, and it was actually pretty good. And that's something that I'm actually going to talk about too eventually, is about what my relationship with alcohol is like now that I'm old enough to drink and it's kind of an option for me. So eventually I'll do an episode on that, but that's for another time. And so after that, we went back to the hotel room and changed and got into our comfy clothes. And then we went out and got gelato because I love gelato. I love ice cream, sorbet, any of those types of things are my favorite dessert. And that was my birthday. It was such a fun day, and I have so many fun memories from that day, and it just started off my 20s amazingly. And so I think that is definitely one reason why 20 has been such an amazing year so far. For the rest of our weekend in Victoria, we did a lot of sightseeing. So we went to see tons of castles. My sisters and I, we went to the Royal BC Museum, which was super fun. And we just did a lot of exploring in Victoria, and it was so beautiful, and definitely one of my favorite little trips that we've done as a family. It's so gorgeous there, and I have so many amazing memories. Next thing I want to update you on are all of the investments and big purchases that I've made recently. So once I decided that I was going to take a little break from the podcast about a month ago, I really wanted to use that time to invest in some things so that when I came back, that the podcast would be better than ever. So the first thing that I actually purchased, and this was on my goal list for the year that I had been wanting to get for a really long time, is a laptop. So I purchased a Apple MacBook laptop. That was the first thing. And the reason that I got that was because I wanted it for editing. I wanted it to write out the scripts for my podcasts. I just wanted it to have as an extra resource to be able to use for all of my content creation and my social media and all of that stuff. And I have not regretted it one bit. I'm so happy with this purchase, and I'm so grateful I'm at a place where I can purchase that. And then the other thing that I purchased is actually my own camera. So if you listened to the podcast previously, I used my sister Daisy's camera for videoing the podcast for YouTube, and I decided that during the break I was going to purchase my own as well. And so I got the Sony ZV-1F camera, which is specifically made for content creators, and so far I have been really enjoying it. I pretty much use it to film all of my content now. So I use it to film my workouts and my recipes and my YouTube videos and now the podcast. podcast, and it's so exciting. I'm so happy with that purchase as well. And then just a few other random things that I bought for the podcast were things like microphones to go with my camera. I bought a little handhold tripod so that I can get some cool angles and things like that, and battery chargers and just all those things that come with cameras. And so I put a lot of money into investing into the podcast and making it better than ever. So I hope that you are seeing, if you're watching this on YouTube, if you're seeing the increase in quality, if you're seeing the leveling up here, then I hope that you're enjoying that. And I'm just really happy with all of the recent purchases that I've made, which actually goes into the next thing that I wanted to update you on. My next update for you is that I have recently redone my whole fashion and style and fashion sense and all that stuff. I, for a long time, didn't really put a lot of effort into the clothing that I wore. I just wore whatever was comfortable. And I think I made a whole YouTube video on this. And I think that the reason for that is because when I was younger, in my early teens, we were still in a religion at that point. And so a lot of the things that I wore were very modest. They were very mature for my age. And then when we got out of the religion, and also we decided to start selling everything, and we moved to a new country, and then COVID hit and all of that happened. I feel like a lot of it was that I just wanted to dress comfortably. I just wanted to be comfy. I didn't really care because we weren't going out a ton. I just wore sweatshirts and sweatpants and whatever was comfortable, which is not bad. It's just where I was at the time. And now, going into this next chapter of my life, my 20s, I decided that I wanted to actually have like a sense of style and kind of a personal style, and something that if somebody sees a picture of me, they're like, oh yeah, that is her style. Like, that's something that she would wear. And so the reason that I'm talking about this is because I have officially redone my style. I like to call it coastal grandmother / clean girl / that girl. Again, I made a whole YouTube video on this, so if you actually want to see the different outfits that I am planning on wearing and styling, then you can see that there. It is linked down below my YouTube channel. And so far, I've really been loving it. So over the past couple of weekends, it was actually when we were in Victoria that I decided to do this, because we kept walking into different little boutiques and stores, and there would be so many cute pieces, and I would look at them, but I'd be like, oh, I would never wear those. And then in that moment, a light bulb went off, and I was like, but why wouldn't I wear those? Why can't I wear those? And so I decided to kind of redo my style in that moment. And so I went shopping that weekend, and then over the next couple of weekends, and I bought a bunch of staple pieces that I'm going to be wearing for years to come, because it is my style for my 20s, and I'm just so happy with it. The thing is, the style that I chose is kind of comfy and cute at the same time, and I'm just obsessed with it. I love it, and I feel so much more grown up now that I have a sense of style. I don't know if that sounds weird or if that sounds dumb, but it's how I feel. And so far, I've been loving it. Again, if you want to see my outfits, then check out my YouTube channel, but I'm going to be posting a lot more about this as well on my other social medias, because I am just obsessed right now. The next update and thing that I want to talk about is my current training and nutrition goals and where I'm at with all of that. So if you don't follow me on Instagram or TikTok, recently I've been doing a series where I've been trying different celebrities' workouts. So far, I've done Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, LeBron James, Jason Momoa, and I'm currently doing Ryan Reynolds. And so I just go online and I find these different workouts that are supposedly their workouts. Now, of course, they very well could not be their workouts, but I really enjoy doing them. I find it's fun to switch it up. I've been trying new exercises, and it's not like I ever lost my passion for fitness or for working out, but I feel extra motivated to go to the gym now when I have this workout to try and to kind of review and see how I like it. I've really been having a lot of fun with that recently. And then something else that I wanted to mention, kind of related to fitness and nutrition, and I made a YouTube video on this as well, is that I am starting the 75 Hard Challenge. So if you don't know what that is, it's this challenge that was started by the guy who created the brand First Form. And so it's pretty much where for 75 days you do these 5 different tasks or challenges that are pretty intense, I would say, to the average person. It's 2 45-minute workouts a day, reading 10 pages a day, drinking a liter of water, sticking to a diet, and one other thing that's not coming to my mind right now, but again, I made a whole YouTube video on it, so if you want to check that out, then do so, please. I am on day 1 of the 75 Hard Challenge, so I still have 75 days to go, but I'm really excited to see the different changes and growth that I can make in the next 75 days, not only in my body, but also mentally, because the person who started it, he said that it is more a mental challenge than a physical challenge. I think it's gonna be both, but definitely a mental challenge as well, and I'm just really excited to try it. If you haven't heard of it before, I would recommend going to TikTok and just seeing what it's all about, but I think it's gonna be really fun. If you wanna follow along on my journey, then I'll be doing that on my social medias as well, and I'm sure I'll update you here on the podcast as well as I get into it. But that is definitely something that I'm doing right now, and I'm very excited to see how it goes. Next thing I want to talk about are my plans for the winter and life updates surrounding that. So if you've been following my family for a little while, you would know that for the past couple of years, we've spent our winters in Hawaii and our summers in British Columbia, Canada, because we are Canadian residents. And we cannot be out of Canada for more than 6 months of the year. And if we are, then we're going to lose some privileges and things like that. So it's important that we are in Canada for at least 6 months of the year. Now, this year, I have been thinking about it, and I have actually decided to stay in British Columbia with my dad. My dad has a job here, and so he's here usually all year round anyway, and then he'll come every month or so to Hawaii to visit the rest of us. That's what happened last winter. And so I've been thinking about it, and I've decided to stay with my dad for the winter in British Columbia. So my mom and my 2 sisters are going to be staying in Maui, and then my dad and I are going to be here in British Columbia. Now, something that I do want to say is that there is no bad feelings. Our family is closer than it has ever been, and I think that's why this can be possible, why it's okay for us to be apart for a couple weeks at a time and still love each other and still trust each other and still be best friends. And so I'm going to be just staying with my dad for the winter. We're going to be going back and forth and visiting the rest of our family probably once a month around that. But I'm really excited to see what this chapter of my life is going to be like. I am planning on probably getting a part-time job since my dad has a full-time job, and it would just be me at home all day, which I'm sure will happen some days, but I'm really excited for this new era, I guess, of a little bit more independence. And it's not like I'm living on my own. I'm still living with my dad, but again, he works full-time, so there will be a lot of time when I am alone. And so I'm very excited for it. I'm kind of nervous because I've never really done that before for that long. Also, I've never been that far from my mom and my sisters for that long, so it'll be definitely an adjustment, and there's going to be a little bit of an adjustment period, but I am really excited to see how that is going to help me grow and learn more independence and things like that. So that's definitely going to be very interesting, and I'm going to be sharing all about that as well on the podcast and on my social media, and you're going to get to see my quote-unquote living alone, but not really living alone with my dad, and just gaining more independence. So I think it's going to be very interesting. So those are pretty much all of the life updates that I wanted to tell you about. Now we're going to be talking about the future of the podcast, what season 2 is going to look like. So first of all, you've probably seen that there is new cover art for season 2. My sister and I did a photo shoot with my camera, and I'm obsessed with the cover art. I love it. I think it's so much more grown up. I think it's so season 2. I love it. I'm really happy with it. And so that is the first big change. Second is obviously that it's still going to be on YouTube. So if you prefer watching podcasts, then it's going to be in video form on YouTube. YouTube. And then there are going to be some new segments. So last season we did segments which were recipe of the week, entertainment of the week, and then quote of the week. So I've decided instead to change it up a little bit. So I put up a poll or a question box on Instagram and asked it, when you listen to a podcast, do you like hearing about the host's week in review or about little life updates and things like that? And the answer was yes. The majority of people said yes. And personally, I prefer that too. When I'm listening to a podcast, I like a little mini life update, seeing how they're going, seeing how they're doing, because that's a way to relate with the person. And so that's something I'm going to start doing, is kind of like little week in reviews, so you can stay up to date on my life and my health and fitness journey and the 75 hard and whatever is going on in my life at that moment. So that's going to be the first segment. And then the second segment is going to be just a recommendation of the week. Instead of making it every single week a recipe or an entertainment thing, I'm just going to kind of keep it open and see what I'm feeling that week that I want to recommend, whether it's a product or a food or an entertainment or a habit or whatever it is, for me to recommend to you, something that I've been loving. And so I'm really excited for that as well. And of course, something that I said on Instagram is that I'm gonna have more guests. So last season I had my family on as guests. I had my sister and my parents, and I'm planning on having some different guests, so stay tuned for that. I'm really excited to have some other people, get their perspective, learn from them. I think it's gonna be really interesting, so definitely make sure to keep an eye out on that. Also, I'm going to keep the 2 episodes a week. I did put up a question box on Instagram about that as well, and most people said they preferred 2 shorter episodes instead of 1 longer one. So that's going to still be going 2 episodes a week. So make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any. And that is pretty much it for the updates for season 2. What's coming? So many different topics I have planned. I'm actually gonna tell you some of the topics that I've planned on making episodes about, just to, give you a little preview of what season 2 is gonna be like. So I'm planning on doing one of those episodes of like 20 things at 20, but I'm gonna change it up a little bit and do 20 things I'm working on at 20, so stay tuned for that episode. I'm gonna talk about growing up in a cult and what that was like. Maybe I'll get my sister on with me, or maybe I'll have my parents and get their perspectives as well, but that's something that I definitely want to talk about. I'm also going to talk about my goals for my 20s and this year of 20. My biggest lessons I've learned from self-help books, my health and fitness unpopular opinions, and so much more. So stay tuned for all of those episodes. I'm so excited to talk about all these different topics. And if you have any requests for episodes that you want me to do, please message me on Instagram and let me know. I would love to create a episode about something that you want to hear about specifically, so definitely make sure to message me. And to end off this episode, I said on my Instagram stories that I would do a little mini Q&A, and so I have 4 questions to end off this episode with. The first question is, does your family enjoy thrifting as much as you? And I would say yes. As a family, we love to thrift. We love to get things secondhand. We always have. It's a great way to save extra money and to be a little bit more environmentally friendly and to find more unique pieces. And so I think that as a family, we love thrifting together. We like to go to Plato's Closet, or we'll go to Goodwill or Value Village, especially if we're looking for something in particular. But yeah, my whole family and we all love thrifting, and I think it's a super fun family activity. Question number 2. How did you land on the coastal grandmother / clean girl style? Was it Pinterest or people you know? So I actually stumbled across the coastal grandmother style about a year ago. I remember seeing it on Pinterest. There's this one girl who actually came up with the style. She kind of coined the term of coastal grandmother, and she made tons of videos on it. At that time last year though, I was working at a coffee shop and I was busy and I didn't have a lot of time to actually invest in redoing my style, but I knew that I loved it, and I kind of put that in the back of my head, like, that'd be something fun to do one day. And then as I said before, when we were out at one of those little boutiques, I saw all these cute pieces and I was like, you know what, I really want to do it now. again, if you don't really know what the coastal grandmother style is, it's kind of based off of, think about grandmothers in Maine or in the Hamptons, or even about different like women in movies, and they wear like loose flowy clothes and white button-down shirts and straw hats, and they have like a glass of white wine or something like that. It's just such a vibe. And so I would say that would be the main thing, is that I saw it on TikTok. Then I saw it a lot on Pinterest after that, because I started searching for it, and that kind of was the kicker for me of that I actually wanted to start it. And so I would say it would be a different combination of things, but most likely TikTok and Pinterest and just social media, and my love for that type of style anyway. Question number 3 is, how did you get to where you are? Now, this question can be in so many different ways, whether the person is asking about fitness, or if they're asking about social media, or if they're asking about like living in British Columbia, or whatever it is. And I'm just gonna be very general here and just go with my overall lifestyle. And I'm gonna say that to get to where I am right now, the 20-year-old version of me, it took a long time and a lot of effort. And obviously it wasn't like I went from being 10 to 20 overnight, but to get to the place where I am now, it took a lot of learning. It took a lot of trying new things, of experiencing new things, of going outside of my comfort zone, and being adventurous. And I am somebody who prefers to be in my comfort zone. I don't love going out of it as much, but I find that when I do, that is when I grow the most. And so again, kind of going back to spending the winter with my dad, that's another big reason why I'm doing that, is because I know that it's outside of my comfort zone. It's kind of scary to do something new, but you know, or at least I know from past experiences, that that is where the most growth is going to happen. It's going to be where I mature even more. It's going to be where I learn new things. And so I would say that that is, I guess, how I got to where I am right now. Again, that's a very broad question, and I'm gonna give a very broad answer, but trying new things, getting outside of my comfort zone, and growth is how I've gotten to where I am right now. And the last question to end this episode off on is, what is your ethnicity? This is a fun little question to end the episode. And my dad's side of the family is German. My great-grandparents actually immigrated from Germany to Canada, and so they are very German. They speak full-on German, so definitely German is part of my family. And then on my mom's side, it is English and Scottish. So I do really love the idea of going to Scotland one day. I'd also love to go to Germany one day. I think just to explore those parts of my roots would be really cool. And yeah, so that's what I am made of. I'm German and Scottish and English. Very fun. And with that, I'm going to end off this episode here. That concludes our first episode of the All About Health podcast, season 2. Thank you so much for listening to this, and if you voted in any of the polls that I put up over the past couple of weeks, or if you left a question, thank you so much for continuing to support this podcast and for continuing to support me. Again, if you want to check out any of my other social medias, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Threads, I'm on all of it. They're all linked down below. Again, thank you for listening. I hope you have a fabulous day, and I hope to see you in the next episode.